One day I was thinking, I said, you know, we all have to do everything we can within our power, within our means, based on our training and experience, to do something about what's going on in the world today. And as a result of that, I decided in 1996 that I would run for President of the United States. Okay? Don't clap yet, because I got to tell you the end of the story, okay? So I figured, I'm saying to myself, let's see, I've been a Republican, basically, but in order to really get the word out, I think the thing I have to do is registered in the Democratic Party, and then go out and try to become president through the Democratic primaries, which means I would go to the primary rallies and so forth. I got 30 minutes to go. 40, okay. And I'm saying, well, look, I'll tell you what I'll do. I am saying to myself, I'm going to register in the Democratic Party so I can take Bill Clinton on head-to-head, toe-to-toe. He's the president, right? He's going to rerun. And my idea was this. I would register Democrat in the primary, go back to New Hampshire, first series of voting, right? And get on the Sunday before the primary, Tuesday, I would run a copy of the Clinton Chronicles. And in addition, I would attend the rallies and do whatever I could to expose this guy for what he is. Phony, sex maniac, you know, no good SOB. Those of you, you know what the Clinton Chronicles is? It's a story about Bill Clinton's drug operation and his sexual escapades and all that sort of thing. It's a tremendous expose. Yeah, and he's in jail, right. So anyway, I had a fellow come forward and say that he was going to get me some money. He said, look, I said, I can only take so much money by law. He says, no, I'm going to put you in a business deal. I'm going to bring some money up from overseas. I got this trust and all that. And I found out later he was a plant by the government, by the way. But anyway, I had all these promises and I thought I was going to be able to do it. So I called the ABC affiliate, which is the only affiliate in Manchester, main ABC affiliate there. And I talked to Julie Capiano, I think is her name. And I asked her, I said, how much is it going to cost me to for a Sunday night show, prime time, 8 o'clock? She said $10,000 an hour. I said, okay, I need two hours. That'd be $20,000, right. She said, call me back next week. And I called her back next week and I said, okay, I want more details on it. She said, Mr. Gunderson, I'm sorry, but I misquoted the price. The price is $120,000. So that just shows you the control of the press. Anyway, I never made it to New Hampshire. Didn't have enough money for a plane ticket, to be honest with you. But I did register. Cost me $1,000. And I came in 11th out of 21 candidates without even appearing in the state. I registered in Texas. Now, I used to be in charge of the FBI in Dallas, Texas. And that cost me $2,500. And went down, campaigned for about 3 weeks, spent about $5,500. Fortunately, somebody else financed me. An old elderly lady, I shouldn't say old, elderly lady who had been a former state senator herself in Texas, knew the ropes. Myra Diffle's the name, out of Tyler. And I came in 5th in the primary in Texas. I gathered over 15,500 votes. In fact, I did so well on the Democratic ticket that the Republicans were talking about recruiting me coming over their side eventually. I'm just kidding, of course. But it was fun going to the rallies, and I would talk to these people. I got in line behind some guy one time. I said, who are you going to vote for? He said, I'm voting for Billy. Billy? I said, why don't you vote for me? Well, who are you? And I said, well, let's see, here's what I stand for. I stand for this, this, and this. You know, all conservative approach to politics. He says, no, I'm voting for Billy. I'm not voting for you. And I said, well, let me give you this literature and read it. No, I don't want it. He wouldn't even read it. But anyway, it was kind of fun. And then I'd talk to these various individuals and try to explain, you know, what a phony Bill Clinton was. It's like kind of like going into the enemy camp. But anyway, it was an experience. I came back, re-registered independent in Nevada, ran for Congress in Nevada, 1st district, and I did all right there. I came in 3rd out of 5 candidates, right behind the Republican and Democrat. But the point is this: I'm saying I'm doing everything I can within my power to make a change. Now, I knew I wasn't going to be elected president of the United States, but I figured I got to do it. I've got to do it. Do you know what it costs to register in the primary in every state in the United States? Over $100,000. Okay. Colorado took my money just to be on the ballot, right? And they didn't put me on the ballot. They said, oh, that just gives you the privilege of having people do a write-in with your name. And then I talked to a precinct captain after the election. She said, we were given instructions not to put any of your information or your material on the table. Keep it under the table and only bring it out if people asked about you. Oregon and Tennessee would not put me on the ballot, even though it didn't cost anything, because I was not a viable candidate. I wrote to both of them, and I said, hey, wait a minute. I've been on every radio talk show in America, Larry King, hard copy, Inside Edition, 48 hours, 2020, and I'm not a viable, and I'm former head of the FBI, and so on and so on, and I'm not a viable candidate. That's right, you're not a viable candidate. So it's a rich man's game, and the only way you're going to do it, make it, is to belong to the club, and the club is the Illuminati, let's face it. Now in a skull and bones. Now here's the Illuminati, let's face it. Now in a skull and bones. Now here's another problem we have. There are electronic voting machines out there. The electronic, by the way, all this information is in this book, this documentation what I have here. These electronic voting machines, there's no paper trail. They can be manipulated, they can be fixed. There was a candidate in New Orleans who lost, and she went in the next day with the video camera and with the machines and voted for herself on the same machine dozens of times, and every 3rd vote when she voted for herself went to her opponent.
Is that what happened to John McCain?
I don't know about McCain, but John DeCamp in Nebraska during the primary? I don't know about that. I wouldn't be surprised. But in Nebraska, John DeCamp ran for governor, my good friend, the gentleman behind the Franklin cover-up who's trying to expose it, in case I mentioned a few moments ago. He was out of 5 candidates in the primary, Republican primary. He was leading a week before by the polls with 36%. And when the vote came in, he came in 3rd with 14% of the vote. Not only in one location, but every location across the state. What this is, they're arrogant. They're saying to John DeCamp, hey, we control it. You get 14% in every precinct, and that's all you're going to get. Now, on the McDonald case, let me mention this also. There were some satanic signs left in the house. I don't think I covered this, did I? There was a headless doll. Excuse me, there was a doll's head. There were unexplained feathers. There were 10 shallow ice pick wounds in the 2.5-year-old's chest in the form of an S. I asked Alina what that stood for, and she said it stood for Satan. So these people are, as I said, they're arrogant. They're letting us know they're around. There's subliminal messages every day. You can walk down the street, drive, watch TV, look at the magazine. I see subliminal messages constantly. How many times have you seen the Illuminati diamond? Yeah. You see it every place. The triangle. You see it. And I'll tell you something else. You look at the Republican and the Democratic logo, you know the 3 stars at the top? Well, at one time, the point was at the top, now it's been inverted, the goat's head. Stars at the bottom, with the 2 stars like this, the Democratic and the Republican logos. Look at it next time. That's how strong they are.
For those that are truly awake, they'll know votes do not count. and presidents are merely just puppets on the world stage. And the two greatest deceivers, in my estimation, are John F. Kennedy for the left or the liberals, and of course Donald Trump for the right or the Republicans. And one thing both of these individuals have in common is they both supposedly go against the grain, going against establishment. And this is part of the deception, that they're not controlled, that they are individuals working on their own terms, which nothing could be further from the truth. Again, they are nothing more than clever deception, nothing more than puppets on a string. And that gets to this interview with Newt Gingrich with Bill O'Reilly on Fox News, which I've covered prior to the 2016 election, so-called elections. Again, we know votes do not count. Presidents are selected, not elected. Let's get right to what is stated here, again, from Newt Gingrich.
Now they're faced with a very real prospect of Donald Trump becoming the leader of the party, and it absolutely drives them crazy. They just cannot imagine sharing. Oh, because he's an outsider. He's not them. He's not part of the club. He's uncontrollable. He hasn't been through the initiation rites. He didn't belong to the secret society.
And again, this is all part of the deception to make, again, Donald Trump look like an outsider, that he's not a Mason, and nothing could be further from the truth. And that gets into this clip with Donald Trump's, one of his first, if not his first, interview back in 1980 with Tom Brokaw on NBC News. Let's take a look.
Take a look at my next guest. There's a report around Wall Street that this is what he has in mind. This is Donald Trump, 33 years old.
Donald Trump, 33 years old, as they show, of course, these two very famous buildings, which came down, amazingly enough, after 33 years. And specifically, the North Tower construction, which started in August 1968. Of course, 1968 to 2001, that is 33 years. Let's continue on here as they show this clip with Donald Trump looking outside this helicopter window, and you see the two, again, famous buildings, as we all know, in plain sight. And also during this promotional video with Donald Trump in the White House, supposedly helping the youth, and as he's speaking, what do you see? They show this clip without speaking. They show the Masonic square and compass, again, in plain sight, without saying he's a Mason. They're going to pinpoint, they're going to spotlight the Masonic square and compass. And of course, more recently, just more hints in plain sight with Trump talking about his favorite color.
My favorite color, orange.
People laugh, people are cheering, but they have no idea why he says that, of course. Orange being the only color in numerology, that is 33. A Masonic number, of course, the highest degree in the Scottish Rite of Freemasonry. And the very reason Trump has, of course, that orange-looking makeup. Literally the code for 33 right on his face. And, of course, his family going back in time with the surname Drumpf. And people think this is just a big joke, but this is the reality with his surname being 33 in numerology as well. And here is a screenshot of a video I made back in 2015 pointing out how Donald Trump is a Freemason. You see the upside down diamond, or some might call it the upside down pyramid, but more or less it's the diamond with this interview with Chris Cuomo of CNN. And interesting enough, this video length is 3 minutes 11 seconds, again coded for 33. So they're all about the number 33. Even the man that's interviewing Trump in this instance, again, Chris Cuomo, as you see here as well, Donald Trump doing the Masonic hand sign once again. Chris Cuomo with the CC initials, and of course that's coded for 33. And that's all about the symbol you see here with the Freemasons. And you see the upside down diamond shape, and diamond is 33 as well. So you have your dual 33s in plain sight with the obvious number 33 and the symbol for the diamond as well. And that gets back to this photo of very famous Freemason Grand Sovereign Commander, as we all know from those that watch my videos, Luther Smith, and getting a little bit of a close-up with the dual 33s in the dual-headed eagle, as you can see here, again getting back to the Freemasonic logo. And getting back to Trump, again, more signs and symbols. Anybody that says Trump is not a Mason, they're completely deceived, they're completely blind, they're completely in denial. And of course, with Trump being a Freemason, you're going to have Freemasons working alongside with you. As you can see right here, with this one individual, with again the square and the compass all in plain sight. And this is something I covered several years ago with Donald Trump. In the 11 statues scattered throughout the U.S. in these major cities such as San Francisco, Los Angeles, New York, and so forth, with these statues, and people are talking about, how they look and how ridiculous they made Donald Trump look. But one thing people missed was the Masonic ring that Donald Trump was wearing. He wasn't wearing anything, but one thing he was wearing was that Masonic ring. And again, this was, of course, pulled off by those pulling the strings from behind the scenes. And just more signs and symbols all in plain sight, with North Korea basically giving Donald Trump this letter. And just take a look at the size of the letter. And for those that know anything about Freemasonry, of course, when you look at a Masonic apron, as you see here, this white one, it's a perfect match. And literally, this is, again, just mockery, showing that he's a Mason in plain sight. And just another example of that white apron, of course, here. As you can see, a former president back in the 70s, Gerald Ford, wearing the same exact basic Masonic apron as you see here. And again, all presidents from the very inception, of course. George Washington, no secret whatsoever. And I find it very interesting with this bust. It basically states Freemason and first president, with, of course, the Masonic square and compass. But again, the Freemason is mentioned first, and him as first president second. And this is, of course, because this is the order of importance with those that are running things, of course, all being Masons. Now, more clues with Donald Trump and Freemasonry, with this whole so-called scandal with Hillary Clinton, talking about Trump not paying his taxes, not paying a dime in taxes. And the number that's given that Trump paid in taxes, this is from MSNBC, and you see the 38,435,451, and I find it hilarious that it comes down to it's 33 when you add up all these numbers together. And of course, Donald Trump and Hillary with the supposed missing 33,000 emails. In numerology, the zeros mean nothing, so again, you have your dual 33s. And again, with the world being a stage, going back in time to the 80s, with this photo of Donald Trump with Hillary Clinton and Donnie Jr. and Eric. In the caption here, it says, from Donald Trump, the First Lady is a wonderful woman who handled pressure incredibly well. So they have a history, and of course, back in 2005, at Trump's wedding, what do you have here? The two Clintons, and they don't seem like they dislike each other too much, of course. It's just like pro wrestling when they act like they don't like each other, but they're all working together behind the scenes. And also with Hillary and Bill both having that 33 name, of course. And that gets back to Donald Trump and his so-called son-in-law, Jared Kushner, and Kushner having a 33 name. So for those that, can't connect the dots, by now you never will. This is clear. This is obvious. This is a Masonic run, not only country, but world when it comes down to it, with the world being a stage, a free Masonic stage without a shadow of a doubt. And of course, the 5th Avenue 666 address up until 2002. And you see here with the Kushner properties, and later on it was changed to Citibank. As you can see here, Citibank logo. And interesting enough, you have that dome, that little dome above the T. And we'll get into that topic a little bit more as we move along in the video itself. And Citibank, why not, being a 33 name. So you had to change from the 666 to the Citibank. And again, Citibank being 33. All by design, obviously. Again, just really unbelievable how they put this all together. And it's all in plain sight for those that have eyes to see. Now, moving on with JFK, who I call the greatest deceiver as far as U.S. presidents are concerned. And let's get right to it with this speech going way back to the early 60s, where he talks about secret societies. And again, just like Newt Gingrich tried to paint a picture that Donald Trump is not a Freemason, he's not part of the secret societies. And again, this is all part of the deception. Now let's play this clip of JFK talking about secret societies.
The very word secrecy is repugnant in a free and open society. And we are, as a people, inherently and historically opposed to secret societies, to secret oaths, and to secret proceedings.
So you just heard JFK say he's against secret societies. And let's take a look at these photos. They don't match with what he says. Clearly, these are Masonic handshakes right in front of you. And this is, of course, with Richard Nixon, a conservative Republican, with the liberal Democrat. And again, it's very clear, very obvious. And if people can't see this, again, they're in complete denial with these Masonic handshakes. And of course, with the world being a stage, the political aspect, the religious aspect, with, of course, Billy Graham. You see here JFK, again, another Masonic handshake, and this time with the LDS president back in 1960, David McKay. And just a little bit of a close-up to get a better look. Again, the thumb over the knuckle, clearly a Masonic handshake. And again, more of the same, all in plain sight. And again, just a bit of a close-up. And here is the Masonic handshakes, or grips as they're called, the secret handshakes. And there's different variations. Now, this is an aspect I covered several times over the years, and this is something that really needs to be spotlighted for this presentation, of course, what took place in Dallas, Texas. Before I even play the video footage, let's take a look here at what we're actually looking at. We see, of course, people standing alongside the street. Very important aspect is the shadows. Take a look at the shadows and the positioning with all the people, the motorbike, and all. And also, of course, as you see the police officer on the motorcycle, take a look at what happens here. As we all know, out of nowhere appears the motorcade. Okay, again, focus on the shadows, the people across the street, the people in the foreground as well. Okay, this is obviously in slow motion and in color. And at a certain aspect, after this sign here, we're going to see the shadows change all of a sudden. And the shadows are going in a different direction. So definitely what's taking place here, there is layered footage in the background, 100% without a shadow of a doubt. No pun intended with the shadow. But take a look again at the shadow aspect. Again, from this perspective, at the start of the motorcade, you see him going in this direction, this position. Now take a look here. They're going more downwards, at a downward angle. This is literally seconds after you see this, again, the motorcade at the very beginning. And here's the side-by-side. So there's definitely a huge contradiction with the shadows themselves, pointing at different directions, telling you this is all filmed at different times, spliced together. Definitely the background was taken, obviously filmed at a different time than what you see here. So again, this was nothing but a production. The key aspect that I point out is who filmed this all. A 33rd degree Freemason, as you see here. And you see his name. The name of the film itself. And let's get a little bit of a close-up. And not only was he a Freemason, he was a 33rd degree Freemason. And anyone that's new to my channel, this will take time to process, to digest and process, because this goes against, of course, everything you've been told your whole life. So again, it's going to be very hard to accept for many, but this is the reality. It's just like the moon landing, so-called moon landing, where the shadows do not match. They don't add up. And again, this is the aspect with liars. Liars can't keep their lies straight. There's always going to be, things that stick out that expose the lies for what they are. Now, talking about JFK, again, part of the mass deception, not only in the U.S., that's another topic for another time, the world deception, but sticking to the U.S. aspect in Kennedy and this infamous speech, let's just take a listen. And this is all about pushing the deception with space travel. Let's take a listen to what Kennedy says here.
We choose to go to the moon in this decade and do the other things, not because they are easy, but because they are hard.
So definitely, again, you have John F. Kennedy pushing the idea of space travel. For anybody that follows my channel, they'll know all we have is inner space. There is no deep space. And that brings us back to Donald Trump and what he says here, talking about Space Force. And just take a listen carefully. Again, with all the lies, they give us some truth in plain sight. And this is just another aspect of duality. Take a listen.
It's going to be a very big factor with respect to space and space exploration. At some point in the future, we're going to look back and say, how did we do it without space?
And that brings us back to the 60s with of course, Star Trek. The television program, again, TV is all about programming in the whole concept of space, the final frontier. And again, every aspect of TV is about controlling the minds, and entertainment basically enters the mind, and it's all about subconscious programming. And that's going to bring us back to Trump and Space Force. Let's take a look here at the unveiling of the flag itself. And definitely, you're going to see, as we see already, the connection with Star Trek. How everything is basically integrated, all intertwined. And let's play this very short clip.
It's a great honor. That's a beautiful flag, too. Roger, hold that up so they can see. That's really beautiful. Wow.
So you see here the Star Trek emblem, which is a chevron. As you can see here in numerology, just so happens to be 33. Just another amazing coincidence. And that brings us back to William Shatner, of course, Captain Kirk of the USS Enterprise. And again, this television program from the late 60s, it just so happens the last episode of Star Trek aired 1 month prior to the so-called moon landing. So definitely, Star Trek was part of programming the masses for, again, the so-called space exploration, which we know is nothing more than a hoax. Now, talking about JFK once again and all the connections, here you see him with, of course, Wernher von Braun, the godfather of NASA. And just take a look, as many know already that follow my channel, the tombstone for Wernher von Braun. It has the Bible verse regarding God's firmament, which is the vast solid dome above us. From Psalms 19:1, the heavens declare the glory of God, and the firmament showeth his handiwork. In Bible cosmology, this is the vast solid dome that separates the waters above from the waters below. And I found this very interesting on John F. Kennedy's desk. As you see John Jr. below. Take a look here. Always, again, the Easter eggs in plain sight. And what do you see here? This, some might say, oh, this is a snow globe. But basically, this represents the world we live in with God's firmament on our flat earth. So again, these people are in the know. They are all deceivers. And another aspect I want to get into, with the whole aspect of the lie system, this inverted world that the people that run it have created. Of course, you see here John F. Kennedy with his boyfriend Lem. Okay, just like the LEM, the Lunar Excursion Module. And I'm sure just another amazing coincidence to the coincidence theorists. Now, for those that don't know, again, the connection with all these presidents and their background, they have this one common trait, with the boyfriend aspect. And this is clear as day. There's no way around this. And what does this remind you of? Barack Obama and so-called Michelle Obama, more like Michael Robinson. Just take a look at those traps. Look at the shoulder compared to Obama. He looks like the female in this. And again, everything's inverted. You know, you throw a little makeup, some earrings, some lipstick, you know, on a man, and this is what you get. You know, but again, nothing's hidden. They show it in plain sight. They can obviously cover this, you know, for the masses not to see. But again, they want to put this in plain sight as a form of mockery for all to see. And again, make no mistake about it. It's all in plain sight. Just like with Donald Trump and Melania, there's absolutely no difference. As you can see here, just take a look at the height. And this is, again, clear as day. You know, they're doing the same thing over and over. Same tricks being played in the masses over and over. And that gets into Jackie Onassis, as you see here with Aristotle. Onassis, and just take a look at the height of Jackie. I mean, literally towering over, you know, even the males. And take a look here at John Jr. and Jackie. And again, look at the structure, the neck. The neck really stands out. Very large neck, as you can see here as well. You know, looks, you know, like a very strong neck compared to this male here. A little bit of a close-up. Definitely things do not seem right here. And take a look at this photo as well. Very large neck, the jaw structure. And again, this is going to be very, very hard for many to accept. But, you know, we live again in a world full of deception on, you know, on many, many levels. And here's something clear as day, where you see the shoulders that are wider than the hips. This is a dead giveaway as well. And this is clear as day. So, getting back to JFK and the photos that I showed, to continue on, showing this one here. And just take a look here at the following photos with Lem. And again, there's nothing new under the sun. They're doing the same thing. This is a bit much, but just for the sake of it, people need to understand this, that, you know, nothing's what it seems in this world, definitely. And here you see a group photo. You see male, female, male, female, then two males. And they're wearing the same exact matching shorts, swim trunks. I mean, this is really, you know, it says it all. And of course, here you see Lem with JFK once again. So again, when it comes down to it, they're pulling the same tricks off on the masses. Definitely, this world is nothing what it seems. JFK, just like Donald Trump, two of the, in my estimation, greatest deceivers as far as presidents are concerned.
Leader J for the real world, wide hood star.
No, I've tried and tried, still I can't get you off my mind. I think about you all the time, girl. I know it's plain to see, girl, you were meant for me. I could be a dream, and you could be my fantasy, girl.
Butterfly doors, dumb slap, make it real dough, but love don't come with that. It feel like it though, till you lose what you got. So let me talk to you till you understand the chat. Let's get to know each other. I'm a CEO, I can meet your father, he'll be proud of you. I'm an ill, I'm on the radio. I really rap, not a cat who just say do. I'm on MTV, you seen from the hood. We got this poppin', I've been around the world. When it's up, tacked out, make a smoke twirl. I bring you everywhere I go, you my downest girl.
No, I've tried and tried, still I can't get you off my mind. I think about you all the time, girl. I know it's plain to see, girl, you were meant for me. I could be a dream.